spiritual defects in you.
I agree. I want to add a small story over here as well. So there was this group that realized that whenever they eat, pastries or cookies from normal shops and stuff like that, they would put on weight. They would feel unhealthy if they have a normal piece of cake. Whenever they go home to visit their parents, okay, and their mom is baking a cake, like she would do it every weekend, and they would have this tea time and have that cake and tea, the things that we avoid today. The experience of having that homemade cake, which still has sugar and everything in it, the experience around that whole family thing, the memory of your childhood, it's a pleasant experience. You're eating in that environment, and it digests so differently from the food which is called fast food today, which you just buy a cake, it's processed, highly processed. The job of the person selling it is to sell more. So exactly what you're saying about the environment and the intention behind it are so different. And I'll give you my personal example. When I go back home to Goa, my mom has like a high tea, and there'll be cakes and pastries and all of that stuff. And I eat it in that environment without any fear, and it just doesn't impact your body at all. But when you come back to the city, if you try to do that for even 1 week, you start feeling lethargic and full of sugar, and the body's toxic. So I love your point, and I want to bring that back to even children today, where even I keep telling parents, do not force your children to eat food. Your moms will be running after their children with a plate, trying to force feed them. I'm like, there's no point. Even if you succeed, the body is not going to digest and absorb, and you're making your child create an aversion towards that food. Then they see meal times as a fear time. So they already start making excuses before dinner. I'm not feeling well, my stomach's hurting. So I guess, what you're saying about creating that environment, and if we can't create it for people around, at least we can create it for ourselves before our own meals.
So true. It's a tricky business. Mother, correct, she has to go to work.
Yeah.
Child has to be sent to nursery or to kindergarten by some time. He, first of all, is, not waking up in time. You want to force him to get up. You want to force him to brush his teeth. You have to force him to take bath. You have to force him to eat quickly so that the bus may not go away. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll have to change your routine. Instead of going to work, you'll have to drop the child and then go to work. That creates problem with the boss.
Right.
That life becomes so full of tension. So what happens? Mothers or father, they end up pressurizing the one that can be pressurized. Children. Force feed them. Or else no cartoons. No games. I will not buy you this, or I will not buy you that. If you eat this, I will give you that. All bribery starts. And I think it's time to address such matters amongst people in general, in society today. What matters the most? You have finished. You have improved your career. You have risen to a high level, especially mothers. But what happens to your children in the process?
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong rising, but imagine the price we are paying.
Right. I agree with you. I mean, I'm all for women empowerment and, for them having ambition. And but I feel they have to weigh the consequences and the costs at which it comes. And I know there are successful women who can maintain their children and maintain their careers and maintain their health, everything together. And for me, that's success. It's not just becoming a CEO or becoming an entrepreneur and achieving, a career success at the loss of everything else. And that's not just for women, that's for men at the same time. But, how do you put that balance together? Which is why I feel it's important for everyone at some point, man or woman, in that space of meditation to find out what they truly want and why they're doing what they do. So, I look after some of the richest people in the world, and when I ask them, what was your intention about building such a big empire? Most of them don't know. And when we go deeper into conversation, because over time these people have become friends, they were like, our parents said it's successful if you make so much of money and you have this designation. So they equated success as a child to getting that managing director designation, no matter what, even if they're unhappy or or happy about it. So I really think it starts at a level like you're saying. I mean, if we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, we follow what the world is showing us, that success is defined by your designation. Success is defined by the kind of car you drive, or the houses you have, or how many exotic holidays you can do in a year. And that's not an issue, but as long as you can balance success, like you said, without losing out on the children. Like I have parents who bring their children to me with eating disorders, and the only disorder is how it's going to be fixed is the mother should feed the child, not three servants. The mother has to be there. And that's the only issue that has to be fixed. And they're bringing fancy tests from the US and saying, oh, is there an allergy, is there intolerance? I said, there's really nothing wrong. That bonding of food between the mother, that's why they breastfeed. That initial bond, if it doesn't happen, there are enough of case studies showing how a child faces anxiety separation if they're not fed. A mother dies at birth, and the child is not immediately breastfed. So that connection gets broken the moment they stop breastfeeding, and a nanny or a servant starts feeding the child. And I'm not saying that this is, it's happening a lot. And I feel these are little things that have to change in order to, put the whole holistic healthcare model into place.
Some approach is required. It's not an impossible problem to solve.
Yeah.
Problem can be solved. We have to pay a price. For every solution, there is a price to be paid.
And everyone has to pay that,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
For something.
I like to bring it to your attention so that you can tell all your patients. In Sanskrit, there is a beautiful terminology, swasthya. Means generally it is taken as health. True in one sense, when you consider health as an overall phenomena of harmony between body, mind and soul. Okay. When mind is compromised, it is one sort of trait. When body is compromised, because it's not healing for because whatever reasons, it has its own traits. But both, especially the bodily ones, you can, to a large extent, remove it through the modern medications that we are having. Mental thing, it's a challenge. Okay. The root behind the mental problems, as you say, karma. But then many other things also play a part in this whole equation. It's not individual karma from the past. I have the ability to change my destiny, though my destiny today is governed, let us see, 60% by my karmas or by my samskaras. But I still have greater amount of freedom to change my destiny as well. Okay. If I am allergic to certain food, okay, is it because of my karma? Perhaps. Even if it is, what are you going to do about it? See, there are ways and means how to improve our reaction to the food that we take, behavior that we have. One behavioral thing that impacts a disease, which immediately shows up, people having psoriasis, when they're depressed, when they're angry, when they're irritable, it flares up. In this skin disease, psoriasis, it flares up because of such changes at a mental level.
Yeah.
In turn, psoriasis and lung disease are also correlated. Right? I have seen over the years of observing myself, okay, when I'm angry, when I'm irritated, when I'm grateful, when I'm extremely in a extreme state of meditation, when I'm so absorbed. And when you observe the breathing pattern, all this time. It's so beautiful. You can mark the differences. When you're angry, you can see your breath is gone haywire. Per contra, when you're in extreme state of meditativeness, it is different. When you are in such a state all the time, imagine what happens to this breathing problem. What happens to the psoriasis? They subside very fast. Allergic reaction to external things subsides very quickly. There are many good studies done recently. Uh, Papers are not published as yet because this research is still going on. But we have found so far heartfulness meditation with transmission has reduced greatly over 40%, extent to which one would have nausea after chemo. Nausea is vomiting is the number one complaint
Correct.
after chemo. But if person is exposed to heartfulness relaxation and meditation with transmission, it changes everything.
Yeah, we've seen that. And we've not seen it. The oncologists have told us that. And the
Can you-
patients who meditate, they walk out happy, they come in with energy that even the other patients are like, how come they're not suffering? Is their question about that. We've already seen that. That's amazing.
So, since you have mentioned the idea that they are having such a dreadful disease, right?
Yeah.
And yet they are not troubled. They have accepted. Acceptance is the key. And when you accept what you are going through, okay, fine. Now let me do what I can do,
Right.
whatever is in my hands. First thing would be really good to help ourselves to go deeper within ourselves, to center ourselves. Swasthya actually means that. Swa means the self, and astya to stay.
Okay.
Stay within the self. Now, to whom are you considering as the self? Is your body the self? Is your mind the self? Or your causal body, which is the soul, that is the self? If you remain focused on the body and say, oh, I have feeling this, I'm feeling that, good. We need to take care of that part. But by focusing on the periphery of the system, you are only increasing the imbalance. You think of this thing as an entire system as a wheel. The center as the soul. In the middle there is a subtle body. The periphery as our manifested body. If you pay too much attention to the periphery, the whole wheel will go wobble. But if you pay attention to the center and increase the force at the center of your attention,
Right.
then doesn't matter what happens around the rim, you are settled in the center. To such a person, I have seen it, or in many people in this organization, especially when they meditate, they may be suffering because of whatever situation, financial situation, emotional situation. We all go through all these things, family problems,
Right.
right? The crisis can haunt you. They are always haunting us, health-wise also. But person who is settled within because of who he is, and that person has become who he is by his daily routine of things that he has embraced in his life, meditation or no meditation. But with meditation, you become more center focused. You are settled in yourself, swasthya. Peripheral differences, peripheral storm will not affect you.
Right.
So meditation does prepare us in a smart way. But meditating on a problem can destabilize oneself. Meditating on a good thing is different. Meditating on a problem will only make it worse.
Just like where you put your attention
Very,
towards. Yeah. I want to go back one point because it brings up a question that, brings up a scenario that I experience all the time. I've realized, nutrition, people get on diets, there are fad diets, there are fad exercise programs, everything is extremes in today's world, ketogenic diets and all of these things. People have moved away from simplicity. Okay, I always compare, I always look at the life of farmers. Okay, I look at farmers working in the field. I've spoken to so many of them. The women are slender, tall, healthy, robust, except for the ones who are sick, of course. The men are ripped. They don't go to gyms, they don't drink protein shakes, their food is minimal, carb based, what grows they eat. I mean, that's nature showing you. You don't need to read a magazine written by a doctor or nutritionist saying that this protein will build your body. It's clear. It's a product sale or you're enhancing a diet. So there are fads that exist in the world. I'm noticing that spirituality today is also becoming a fad in a way that people are making it a fad. It's not a fad. So people jump from one chanting class to another, one meditation class to another, and yet they seem more unsettled than ever before. So what I see is that what they've learned in their meditation, they fail to apply. They don't learn to apply it in like, so if I've learned to meditate in this morning today and my intention for the day is not to react but to respond, it's great. It's an intention. But the moment I get into a situation,
It's
I'm
different.
reacting. I'm not responding. So I feel that, people have a to-do list and meditation done, exercise done, organic shopping done. They're just following a list, but they're not applying, they're not able to apply it. Now people who are sick, they get the opportunity to apply it because they realize that, okay, my chemo cycle's coming up, I'm going to visualize and I'm going to meditate and do it differently today. How do you see us bridging this gap and getting people to start applying? Is it routine, is it discipline, is there a technique that we can get people to really apply so that they get the true benefit of this in their lifetime? Whether it's spirituality, whether it's nutrition.
I find, let's imagine a scenario. Okay, the day you come home early from work and say, I'm going to go to sleep early. Moment I hit the bed, I must be gone. When you desire the most, it runs away. You try your best, oh, I want to sleep early. It doesn't happen. People who meditate also, they say, oh, today I'm going to go off. The moment I close my eyes, I must be at a super consciousness state of samadhi. It doesn't happen. More you chase, faster it runs away from you. You have to relax all your efforts first.
Okay.
Okay. Second thing, do you have interest? It's even more crucial than the first one. If you have the interest, then you don't need to use willpower.
True.
Huh? You don't have to struggle. You don't have to put alarm clock. Interest creates everything. On your first date, did you have to put alarm? Visit your girlfriend. She's waiting at this time. You didn't have to put alarm clock. To a child, do you say, my dear child, use your willpower and have your ice cream? Doesn't have to use willpower. When you have interest, everything happens beautifully. Are you interested in your health? Okay, if you're interested, you have this. But the problem starts, but I don't like to meditate. I'm interested in my health, but I don't like to meditate. What do I do? I'm interested in my health, but I will not take chemo. I'm interested in my health, but I will not go see this doctor. I'm interested in my health, but I will not take these foods. I'm happy with whatever I'm eating. Well, if you have this attitude, not even God can help you.
Awesome.
Yeah?
And you write beautifully in your book about intention. I'm a firm believer of intention. You either start your day off with the right intentions, no intention, or the wrong intention, and your day flows that way. So, what would you have to say about intention, setting intentions when it comes to healing or prevention, or just living a good life or feeling good about yourself?
When we have to make use of intentions as far as health is concerned, to think oneself as healthy is good. To think oneself to be better than yesterday is good. And looking forward positively that yes, I can cross this river. I can do it. This positive feeling helps. Per contra, you think, oh my God, I can't do this. I will not do this. It's impossible. It's not for me. Right from the beginning, you have denied the change that can happen in you. We have a choice. Either you say, I'm not going to do it because I can't do it and I don't like this, versus, oh, I can make a difference to my health. I will do this. This seems interesting. Let me try this at least. Give a advantage to your doubt. Okay, may not be, I may not like to do this, may not be capable of doing this, but let me try. Maybe let me see what happens.
Right.
Instead of eating bread, let me eat this. See if this food habits which is prescribed to me is helpful. There is nothing wrong as far as it's going to improve my health. And you're not talking to a street person who says eat this and eat that. You're talking to a professional.
Right.
But often there is a topsy-turvy thing, and here invertendo, it's so sad. When a restaurant person who wants to promote a particular dish to his advantage, because if it stays in the restaurant for another 2 hours, it will get spoiled. People get mesmerized by their, oh, lovely dish, please have this. It's the special recipe of the day. Versus a person who says, oh, this prescription for food is there. My doctor, who is my nutritionist, has prescribed these foods. But people, they take it with so much of pessimism, so much of doubts, but they surrender to the waiter in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy, you see. Once you're paying a fees to a doctor, you're paying a fees to a therapist, have a trust, have a faith. You know, it's only food. It's not going to kill you. It's not something of a poison-like thing. It's worth trying. It's only food. How can it harm you?
Right.
Right? Secondly, meditation. How can it harm you either? In the worst scenario, you have wasted 10 minutes of your time every day. Do you worry about 10 minutes of the time when you read some crazy magazine or go through some unnecessary FaceTime or Facebook or Twitter?
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Anyway, I think this discussion can go on and
I
on
know.
and on. And
I have like hundreds of points that I'd love to just talk to you about, but no, it's amazing. Can I ask you one last thing? Just discuss one last thing. So when it comes to discipline, because today, I mean, I've been through all phases of my life where my parents instilled discipline, and they said discipline is the way forward. Of course, at that point, we had no choice but to listen to them. And as we rebelled against it, like any child will do. But today, I'm doing a full circle in life where I'm coming back to discipline and routine. And I have, I work with some of the soldiers in the veteran program in the US who have come back with, disturbance in their mind and, depression, and all of them say that all the new programs which has robbed the armies of discipline. Before, everything was discipline. You have a problem, deal with it. Over, move on. Today it's like there'll be a counselor who'll get into the problem, and like you said, where you put your focus, it only grows. So that emotional, distress grows more and more. Finally, where the system is not complete, they come back or they're shipped back because they're depressed. And then some of them create crimes, some of them commit suicide, and all of these things. And they only say that if it went back to what it was, which means discipline and routine, we wouldn't have been in this whole post-war trauma situations and stuff like that. So what's your take? Because it's something that's really close in my heart to start getting people to instill discipline again in their lives and in their kids.
I think you have not asked me one question. You have put million questions in this.
No, discipline and routine when it comes to meditation.
See, when you gave me the example of war veterans, it's a very sad situation.
Yeah.
My heart goes out for them. But one thing for sure, we're waging wars to create peace. one last war to end all the wars. It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Right.
To create a discipline, one has to see what is at the end of the process. Carrot has to be given,
Mm-hmm.
right? One boy came to me many years back. It was 2013. He was not interested in studies at all.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'm fed up of my studies. I don't want to study, and I give up. I'm fed up." Parents were crying, so emotional, you know. And he had to clear the 12th exams, right? Parents were pressurizing, "You must get 90 plus. We don't have money to pay for private colleges." Competition is also governed by this class of students and that caste of students and economically backed. So the government also doesn't support certain, if you have a certain surname. If you have a certain surname, but economically your father may be a millionaire, but you need a lower percentage, you'll get the admission. It's a tricky situation in India. Children are under tension because of all these things. But anyway, to cut the story short, what motivated him after our discussion was this. I asked him, forget your study part at the moment. Tell me, which car do you like? He said, "Oh, I love Fiat." I said, "Fiat of India or Italy?" He said, "I like a sports car from Italy, Fiat." Okay. Which is to him better than BMW and Mercedes. I said, "Great. How much does it cost, my boy?" He said, "It's about 3.5 crores." I said, "Great. Stop studying. Great. How will you get 3.5 crores to get the car?" He started thinking, see. I say, if you drop studies, you will not be in a position to even buy a bicycle. Today's world, if you need a job, if you find a job, first of all, you need a good education. Otherwise, you'll be surrounded by beautiful Fiats and Mercedes and BMWs, but you'll be a driver there. That woke him up a little bit, and glad he is right now clearing his IIT.
Wow.
See? Students, discipline, a person who is following a spiritual path, discipline, a guy who is going to a gym, discipline. Everywhere, discipline is necessary. Today I go to a gym and say, okay, I'm going to a gym, but I will skip lifting weights. A successful bodybuilder, he's able to move from 5 kg to 50 kg in short time. If he doesn't, if you don't succumb, if you don't rather accept this resistance, the challenge, then muscles are not working. They will not build. Moment you say, okay, 10 kg today, 2 kg tomorrow, 1 kg, half kg, and no kg, your muscles will
Correct.
they will deteriorate over a period of time. They are not challenged. So discipline is a challenge. But when we see the result or outcome of it, when you do it with joy,
It's different.
then the blow of discipline is not there, because now you see the end result. Imagine a yogi. Day after day he meditates, but the carrot that he is dreaming to acquire is not there. Good meditation means how well you have gone deeper in yourself, how well you have forgotten yourself, how well you have remembered the Lord or have got absorbed in the Lord. If these things are lacking, if day after day your experience is deteriorating, then why would you meditate? At every process in this world, you need a carrot. First see the carrot and let that move you. Later on, the reaction changes, protocols change. Later on, you do it not to acquire anything. In your younger days, when the romance is there, oh, I love her. Oh, I love her. I love her too. There is no end to this nonsense. Later on, when you settle with the person you truly love, you stop looking around. And a higher stage also comes when you are loving for the sake of love, because this one person has trained you now to love everything. That's why heartfulness recommends family life. That where your efforts are challenged, your emotions are challenged, everything about you and your love is challenged. Then we learn slowly, oh, now it is love for the sake of love, not for individuals, not for any things or objects or any fulfillment, emotional or spiritual. Love for the sake of love. Then you don't need discipline. You have arrived home. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.